It is a brand new edition of Flyers Daily for the 8th of January 2024. Flyers Daily is always presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Game day edition. And it's also a Monday edition. So joining us as always to look at the Flyers pens, the week that was, the week that is, from NHL.com, PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, and HockeyBuzz.com. It's Bill Meltzer. Bill, how are you?
Jason, I'm doing well. That was one heck of an exciting and fun day. At the rink on Saturday, and biggest rival in town on Monday. I'm really looking forward to seeing the house pretty full and the place rocking. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and that's where I want to start, Bill. Flyers Penguins tonight. Flyers had that back-to-back with the Penguins earlier this season. They get the shootout win in Pittsburgh. They get the overtime win in Philly. Going to try and beat them for a third straight time. But really, the thing that took me back about Saturday, and going back to the Columbus game as well, was how full the building is.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking a lot about it. I'm thinking, okay, it's January. It's still football season, and I know the Eagles haven't performed well over the last bunch of weeks, but the crowds have gotten bigger and bigger. And I'm thinking, why are the crowds bigger this year than they were before? I think that it's part and parcel to, the way they play from an effort and honesty standpoint. The style that they play is a much more entertaining style to watch. And I think, just they've kind of gotten in touch with the hearts and minds of the Philadelphia sports fan.
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. There were some seasons, I was thinking too, in the late 2010s where the Flyers did make the playoffs. But the energy enthusiasm level wasn't as high as it is right now. I think that everything you touched on is definitely a big piece of it. I mean, look, you and I were sitting next to each other in the press box in the Columbus game. So it's a weekday game, not a marquee opponent, kind of a struggling opponent. And it was a pretty large and energetic crowd for that game too. Yeah. So that's it's definitely, I think that the organization has really turned a corner in a big way in terms of getting back in touch with what makes the Flyers, and obviously having a better product on the ice too is a big piece of it.
Bill, before the game Saturday and the almost full house was treated to what I thought was a really intense, fun, had everything hockey game. They did have a ceremony to honor the 91st birthday on what would have been his 91st birthday for Ed Snider. And the pregame ceremony, to me, is incredibly symbolic of the new regime headed by Dan Hilferty, Keith Jones, Danny Briere, and their awareness that they have to embrace that element. He was a big part of Keith Jones and Danny Briere's careers as Flyers and as men. And I thought the way that the ceremony went off and what they put out there for the presentation and the puck drop with Lindy Lou Snyder there and the new mayor of Philadelphia, I just thought they hit all the right buttons. And it reminded me of the Flyers of years past that always hit the right buttons in those regards.
Every piece of it, Jason, I thought they hit out of the park. Everything from the pregame, before the public was even in there, the pregame check presentation to Snyder Hockey, the videos from Flyers alumni, having Joe Watson at center ice for the puck drop. Joe, of course, being an original Flyer who went back to the first year, the 2 Cup teams, and then worked for the Flyers after his career till 2021. So, that's a iconic figure in franchise history. Having Joe there, having all the little elements that were involved in it.
Players wearing the Snyder hockey jerseys into the rink from their cars.
Yes. The giveaway, the Ed Snider patch, was really a nice item, actually.
Yeah.
Just straight on down the line. Just that right there. There you go. All the little touches that were involved. That really. I mean, it was fantastic to see. I mean, every bit of it was well planned and well executed too. It was a great theme to the day, and I thought that I thought the players themselves picked up on it. I loved what Travis Konecny said where he said that, I was watching the tributes during the game. I was thinking, there's no way we're losing today, and there haven't been many games in recent years where there's been that feeling. I think that the last time, also involving Ed Snider, the last time that I remember having that feeling was the game against Pittsburgh, where the Flyers clinched a playoff spot. Mr. Snider was, sadly in the last days of his life, and Lauren Hart actually sang to him by FaceTime, sang the anthem to him. And again, you had everything riding on the game, a playoff spot. And I remember thinking that day, there's no way they're losing this. And they played with that same kind of intensity that they had on Saturday from that game. But it's been a while, and then that feeling was back, and it was really, really fantastic to see that.
Yeah, it was very tastefully done. I thought nothing was over the top and opulent, but it was all just tastefully done, pieced together beautifully, and it was a great day. And I'm talking to Scott Lawton after the first period. One of the two players that played for Ed Snider when he was still here, he and Sean Couturier, and that a guy like Lawton and a guy like Sean Couturier gets it, and spoke very eloquently on that as well. Let's go to that game on Saturday, because I thought it was a really important game in the sense of where they are kind of on the ebbs and flows of this 82 game schedule, Bill. They still have 7 more home games in this very busy month of January. They've got to be better at home. Maybe they have to simplify a little bit, because sometimes, as Torch said, sometimes, you want to put a show on for the home fans. Well, the home fans, they want to see a show, but they like to see a show that wins. And they did that on Saturday. And I thought the game had a lot of scar tissue. It's a shame these two teams don't play each other in another couple of weeks or again this year, because I thought they put on a really good performance in the game. Both teams did. I thought that Markstrom was unbelievable. But the Flyers tacked the middle of the ice very well, and it seems like their forecheck is getting getting its feet back under it.
No, for sure. The forecheck was better than it had been in a couple of months, honestly. Yeah. It looked like a game from early in the season where they were very aggressively forechecking, playing with a ton of pace, crashing the net, getting pucks to the net, getting traffic in front of the net. Markstrom was tremendous, as you said. I mean, Hart stepped up too when he had to. Early in the game, the early chances mostly belonged to Calgary. And Hart had to step up big a couple of times. You fall behind that early in the game, and it can suck the energy out, right? Yeah. But Hart came up. I think he had 22 saves, so it wasn't a huge number of saves in the game, but he made some big ones along the way. And and having come into that game winless in 4, with a couple of shootout losses and a couple of games that they were winning in the third period, they couldn't close it out. I thought that was their best closeout. Once they took the lead, I thought they had a really good closeout in those final few minutes too. So hit a lot of the right notes, and obviously have to continue that against the Penguins.
Yeah, the only closeout I may have liked better was going into the third period up 3-2 on Colorado, and the way they kept attacking in that third, and they ended up scoring a couple more, making it 5-2. In the game, Bill, there was a healthy scratch of Morgan Frost and of Cam Atkinson. And I think both can have a different type of effect on a team. Frost has been scratched now 11 times. That was his 11th. I think that has a different impact on the locker room than when a guy like Cam Atkinson, who missed the entirety of last season, gets scratched. I thought Torch said something interesting, too. I never scratch a player because of one play. Like, a lot of people on social media like to point and go, that's why he scratched. He didn't back check here. It's never that. It's a culmination of things. But first, how did you think both players reacted to the scratching and can move forward now and use it as fuel to not end up as a healthy scratch again in the season?
Well, quietly, since he didn't get on the score sheet, but quietly, I thought Cam Atkinson had his best game since early November. Had 2 really good scoring chances in the game. He was part of that really strong closeout at the end of the game. All he needs is something to go in the net for him. Yeah. And they'll take all the weight off his shoulders. And I think Saturday's game actually looked like Cam Atkinson for to a large degree. The Cam Atkinson who's been in the NHL, had success, who's started out this year having success. So I think that was a step forward quietly. With Frosty, he actually spoke with Torts at a point last season too. That was mentioned on exit day. I think, however, this conversation was a different one. Because remember last season, Frosty only got scratched once. So
in Toronto,
in Toronto, same thing that happened with Travis Sanheim, who was his family in the building.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously he didn't like that, but the conversation took place a little bit later. It didn't take place right then and there, which is what I think happened with Travis Sanheim, because he was openly more upset about being scratched in Calgary than I think that Morgan was in Toronto. But I think that the first conversation was more along the lines of, what can I be doing better?
Yeah,
because he was still playing. He was in the lineup. Now, having been scratched so many times, 2 games into the season, sitting 6, I thought maybe three of his better games all season, not getting rewarded for it. Then the Flyers had the shutout loss to LA, and then they go to a winless San Jose, a game they lost, and Frost was a scratch in that one. And these things build. Gets back in the lineup, has 4 points in 4 games, but he had a bad game against what's the bad game against? Vegas. Bad game was against Vegas, and sat out the next game after that. And then he played, overlapping also, of course, when Noah Case left the lineup, December, and then he was scratched for the 11th time the other day. So there's some build-up frustration, and I think it was more assertive, two-way conversation this time, less nodding, right? Rather than Torts doing all the talking and Morgan nodding, I think Morgan spoke up more.
Came back at him a little bit.
Yeah, well, he went back at him a little bit, which is, Torts likes that though. Torts doesn't mind that one bit. So I think that it was a more productive and open dialogue that hopefully they can move forward from at this point. Of course, ultimately the players' play dictates that, and I thought that I loved Frost's energy in that game. He was assertive, creative offensively. Had a couple hits too, which is John said that that he's not trying to turn Frost into a banger. It's just staying involved, staying plugged in, staying high. When Frost plays with energy and his feet are moving and he's playing with a ton of pace and making plays, that's Frost at his best, and he makes an impact. It's now I think there's a really big game coming up against Pittsburgh, where I want to see him do that, maybe even do better, and not just on the score sheet. If he gets a point, maybe doesn't get a point, but just being as assertive as he was last game. That's where I think what the next step for Morgan kind of has always been, being more of a difference maker in games sometimes where things aren't going as well for the team as a whole, or you need some guy to step up. I think the ability to do that is there. The talent is there. So it's just a matter of bringing it out in himself and doing that. So taking the initiative to go in and even though it didn't feel comfortable, I'm sure, to walk in there and advocate for himself a little bit and say, I disagree with you on this, and
return a little fire, right?
Yeah.
Return fire.
So I think that hopefully it's a positive turning point. And ultimately, as far as the Flyers go, I don't know what Morgan's future is going to hold. All I'll say is sometimes the best trades are the ones you don't make. And I think Morgan has the potential to be that player. If you don't move him, has the potential to really break through. Because we talked about his last 2/3 of last season, but I mean on a more consistent basis, he has the ability to do that and bring some elements that are not in a lot of abundance on the team. So it was a hopeful sign, and hopefully it's built off of.
Yeah, I agree. When he's playing with pace, with and without the puck, he becomes very dangerous, because when he plays with pace, he can stutter his pace. Yeah. And I think that's a great weapon of his. He can turn the speed on and then dial back and almost drift in when he has possession of the puck, and then use that space to bait guys. And I think that's when he can work some magic. I think that's an area where he's really good in. Bill, speaking of working magic, throughout the 7 years of Travis Konecny's career in Philadelphia, we've seen this kid come in that is just was immature, but we liked a lot of elements about his game. Played with a lot of emotion and sometimes out of control emotion. Very talkative on and off the
Yeah.
ice. But we've seen this maturation process with Travis Konecny, and when I look at his game now, I didn't. I always liked his skill set as a player. I thought it was very today NHL, but I didn't know he'd be able to reach the level that he's at and be able to kind of stay at that level. He showed us that level last year. And he missed a couple of games with some weird injuries, but he's come back this year, I think, with even a bigger, focus on him. And he's come out and just been, I think, everything for. I think he's the heart and soul of the team. The one thing that takes him from, the player that he was here to a big notch above is the ability to kill penalties effectively and then also be an offensive element on the PK. He's an all situations player. He's got 5 shorthanded goals on the team that leads the NHL that has 10. I mean, did you kind of see that he could go to this level? I didn't see that he could go this high.
Well, last year, in the first half of the season, it was the latter part of January. I think he hit his first slump of the year, but until mid-January, he never went 3 straight games without a point at any stretch last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hit a little bit of a wall and had injury issues. He was out. He actually got hurt in a game in Calgary, and he missed a month. He came back late in the season, and he finished strong. But he had 2 stretches where he was out of the lineup, and the injuries kind of got in his way a little bit. He had a couple shorthanded goals last year, not like this level where every PK he is a real threat to. It reminded me of the year that Mike Richards he had one season where
big time.
every time they were in the PK, Richie was a threat to score the other way, and it got in other teams' heads where they you really had to be hyper aware of don't make a dangerous play up high, because if it gets poked out of the zone, he's off. Even in the game against even the loss to Columbus. He took a little bit of a risk there at the blue line. He didn't get it out, and now he's behind the puck. But it works so often for him. You live with it every once in a while not working. But he's been such a tone setter for the team. As you say, he's always had the intensity, the chirpiness about him. But there's definitely a maturity to his game because he knows what he's doing out there. Sometimes I think when TK was a younger player, always had the energy, right? There was never a question of TK playing with energy. But sometimes back then when he was young, I think sometimes his feet work faster than his head. Now there's a game plan. There's a method to it.
Measured.
Yeah, for sure. He really knows what he wants to accomplish out there. And you can see it. And we talked about Frosty just before this. TK had that all-star season in 2019-20, and the next 2 years are rough for him after that. He had the all-star year, and he had some down years. At one point, I think he had something like a 24-game goal drought.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what Cam Atkinson's going through right now. But he was about the same age that Frost is now, and then he hit that next level again. Had a really good offseason last year. Had a really strong, solid year and a tough year for the team. And this year, he's really become a big part of the leadership aspect of the team.
Yeah.
And just game in and game out. He's one of the main guys that you look to. Really that one of the nice things we've been seeing is that whole top line.
Yeah.
We've talked quite a bit about Sean Couturier looking like the Sean Couturier of old. Joel Farabee, who also went through a couple of tough years, still young, still one of the younger guys on the team, as a matter of fact. But now he's hit that next level too of consistency. So just the way that whole top group is playing, but the kind of the stir that straws the drink, particularly of late has been TK.
Yeah, Farabee too is a guy that when Torts came, I thought, oh, he's going to really like this player. But it took until when this player got healthy and,
Yeah.
was able to work out and prepare for a season properly. And I think Torts is getting the full experience of Joel Farabee now. Bill, one of the, we talk about development a lot. When you're in a rebuild, you have to talk about development at all levels. And we're going to talk about a couple of elements of development now. But one of the guys' development, I think, that has flown big time under the radar this year, because there's been other stories today that are a little sexier to talk about, like Travis Sanheim's rebound, or TK doing what he's doing again, or some of the young players developing. But Cam York has been an understated kind of story, and his development and maturity in his game, I think, has been something that has gone a little unnoticed. And here's why. He's playing on a top pair night in, night out, on a team that's in the thick of a playoff race, facing the opposition top lines. He's playing with a partner who is not afraid to get up the ice. And so there's a lot of defensive responsibility that comes with that. Meanwhile, knowing that he's got some offensive elements to his game as well. And I'm a little shocked he's where he is already, because I think it takes longer for D. But, the fact that he's playing on a top pair and performing the way he is, it's not overwhelming him in any shape or form. He didn't make the team out of camp last year. I think it's one of the more under the radar aspects of this team that's a really big positive.
Yeah. And you just touched on the defensive responsibilities. And I think that's why he's flown a little bit under the radar.
Yeah.
Because, he came in with a reputation or the upside of being, power play quarterback, going to lead your blue line in scoring. And and he can still get there. He still has the potential to get there. But playing with Sanheim, who's having a really strong offensive year, I think Cam has continued to take small steps offensively. He's always moved the puck well. He's moved the puck really well this year. So again, sometimes the puck moving element can fly a little under the radar too. People want the up ice and the points, but I think he's taken further steps forward in that regard, subtly, but defensively he's made big strides this year.
Killing
big
plays.
Strides. Where killing plays where there's not even a scoring chance at all there, because he's right on it, and his defensive stick is really, really good.
Yeah,
goes to the right places, and and helps you get out of your zone. I mean, that first pass is such a key element, and he makes such a good first pass. Been making quick decisions, so I think that's been a big element in the Flyers' improvement, and he's made for a very good partner for Travis Sanheim. I think moving Cam back to his natural side, the lefty, has helped open things up for me. Although he wasn't out of place on the right side, I think playing his natural side is now more naturally comfortable for him, and he's made the most of it.
Bill, was there a bigger question mark coming into the season than top pair D?
No.
Losing Provorov, Sanheim coming off the year he had last year, moving to the right side, Cam York moving back to the left. I mean, was there a bigger question going into this season than that?
No. When we did our questions going into the season, I think we spent 15 minutes talking about our concerns with the blue line. So no, unexpected and very encouraging.
And an incredibly consequential question mark as well. What is it about York, though? His ability to defend on the rush is way more advanced than I thought it would be at this point as well. His ability to put his body in the right spot to block shots without having to lunge. Is it just the balance for which he skates and, kind of the minimalist approach in body movement?
I think that that's definitely an element of it. I know it's kind of been in vogue in the last decade or two for defensemen to slide a lot along the ice.
I don't like that.
To try in desperation but guys sauce passes over defensemen along the ice all the time. If the guy skates by him, he's out of the play. Cam stays upright and stays in the right position. So a lot of times he'll kill a play, even if he initially looks to be in trouble, he can recover. He makes a lot of the right reads, but when he happens to get beat, he has that recovery ability. and that'll only continue to grow as he gains more experience too. So yeah, I think that his balance on his feet, how quickly he can close gaps too,
Yeah.
and maintain good gaps in general. But if there is a gap, he can close it. I mean, I think all of those things are working more and more to his favor. I think that he's developed a really good working relationship with Brad Shaw, and I think when you watch him game in and game out, you can see the results on the ice.
Yeah, to me, his skating matches his personality. He's a very laid back guy. The arms aren't flying everywhere. There's no waste.
Yeah.
It's very efficient, and therefore you don't get yourself too much weight moving in one direction, and you keep yourself under control. I think it's a big element of his. Bill, speaking of development, let's go to a different level of development right now. The World Juniors just wrapped up, and Cutter Gauthier, he's known at Boston College as an elite scorer. We know about the shot, the release. He scores from everywhere on the ice. In the collegiate game, that wasn't really his role on the top line on Team USA. He had to kind of be a little bit more of a distributor on that team.
Yeah.
And boy, did he distribute the hell out of the puck beautifully. The way he played in the tournament, what'd you see out of Cutter? Because, I mean, they win gold. I mean, obviously that's a huge thing. They beat the home country and gold medal. All those things are great. But the way he performed really stemmed the stern in the tournament was quite impressive.
Yeah, I thought his first couple games were not his best, but then he hit his stride and he got better and better and better. And his best games were in the medal round. That's
in the big games.
That's the most important games, because in the preliminary round, you could have, you can get away with a day where you're not at your best. There's no elimination, and really the whole purpose of the preliminary round, unless you're a team really on the bubble of not getting into the medal round. Because you play 4 games and of the 5 teams in your bracket, right, 4 make the medal round.
Yeah.
So it's really not even so much for seeding, because you're going to run into good teams once you get in the medal round anyway. But those are really preparation games if you're a potential medalist. So I think USA got better and better as the tournament went along, and. For Cutter, he's been in this tournament before. He's scored goals there before. This is his first time playing center. He'd been left wing last year, and he'd been left wing for the men's team at the World Championships last year. So he's played at the top level of international hockey. I think that so much of the scouting report on him is that he's going to shoot. That teams. The scouting report was to almost overplay him at times. And then when he started overplaying him, he burned them. I mean, he made some gorgeous setup passes because the lanes were there. And that's going to be a big thing for him going forward, too. Even if he's always going to be primarily a shoot-first guy, if you make the other teams play a little more honestly and respect that you can dish, that'll open up more scoring chances for him too. Ultimately, as he gets to the pro level, at the collegiate level, junior, international juniors, you can see he can. Sometimes he can score at will when he's locked in. So, but I think in terms of rounding out his game, being more complete. He racked up so many assists in this tournament. That was really, really nice to see. And I thought that when when it was all on the line. He didn't win best forward in the tournament for nothing. He deserved it. He earned it. That was really, really nice to see. He'll go back to BC with 3 of his World Junior teammates.
Yep.
And that was a fun line to watch too.
Yeah.
And they're a national. They're Frozen Four / national championship contender.
Yeah.
Which might not be the best thing for the Flyers, because if they go into April, then then maybe he doesn't come till next year. But if he can win national, that's great experience. So that's that's the main thing. Take it as far as you can. But I'd like to see how he plays as tournament time comes around and the big games come around to that level. He has the experience doing it, and to do it as the center. And remember, in BC, he's the second line center too, because Smith has been the number 1 center. So I think that it's some really good challenges ahead, and he has an exciting future.
He does, Bill. There's no reason he got nothing left to prove in the college game.
Yeah.
It's turned pro after this year, no matter what, isn't it?
For sure.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and it'll be here, whether it's at the end of this season, pending when BC's season runs till. If not next season, I would like to see him get a couple games this year because I think he can take that into his off season. And I don't want to burn the year of ELC, but it is what it is when it comes to players of that stature. So, he was incredibly exciting to watch in that tournament, and just another element of why Flyer fans are walking around with a smile on their face these days. Damn, does it feel good?
It sure does.
So much better. God, in every element of this organization right now, it just feels like everything's moving in the right direction, and that black cloud has been hooked out of here and shipped to somewhere else. So let's end it there. Let's wrap it up. Flyers Penguins tonight at Wells Fargo Center. We'll recap it tomorrow. Check out Bill's work at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, NHL.com, and HockeyBuzz.com. And we'll catch you tomorrow on a brand new Flyers Daily.